dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. It's yet another day of scattered showers and thunderstorms across the mountains. Meteorologist Cameron Aaron has an update on where the heaviest rain is falling right now. Cameron.
Yeah, Keaton, our severe weather alert day coverage continues into Sunday as that flood watch also continues into tonight. Let's take a live look right now over in Whitesburg. All is quiet in this location, but it is toasty. Current temperature 81, but check out the dew point 73, so it feels very mild and muggy and sticky as you walk out the door. Temperatures across the mountains in the upper 80s for most of us, 89 in Manchester, 87 in London, and 88 over in Somerset, so very mild and muggy as you walk out the door right now. Up on Pinpoint Doppler, we do have a few showers and storms across the area, mainly west of Jackson over portions of Lee County into portions of Owsley County, also Jackson County as well. Some heavier storms near Mount Vernon in Rockcastle County. These are not severe, but they are producing some very heavy rainfall. So if you are out today, please keep in mind to never drive through floodwater and always turn around, don't drown. We do have a flood watch in effect until 10 p.m. tonight, so be sure you have a way to receive warnings just in case. As we go through the rest of this evening, a few more showers and storms are possible. Maybe a stray shower overnight, but most of us stay dry, mild and muggy. Low temperatures once again only falling into the upper 60s and lower 70s. I have that complete forecast. Plus, Keaton, a little taste of fall coming up just a little bit later.
Thanks, Cameron. Through the devastation of last week's flood comes countless stories of survival, and one Chavis family is sharing theirs. WYMT's Alyssa Williams has their story.
It was the early morning of Thursday, July 28th, when floodwater was rising in the home of Henry Johnson, his girlfriend Jennifer Ritchie, and her mother, Mary Combs.
That's when I realized, it was coming up toward past the door, or we were going to be trapped. And I said, we have to get out.
With the water rising higher, Johnson pulled Ritchie outside of their trailer, and they began holding on to the gutter, while Ritchie's mother, who was terrified of getting in the water, stayed behind to try to save their animals.
We held on for a couple of hours until he was able to pull us to the roof. Really, all that we could see is when it would, when it would lightning, and it was just devastation, and it was just a sea of rapid water. I mean, you'd see cars floating by, furniture, and I was so afraid to look at the water to see what else would be floating by.
For 4 hours, the couple stayed on top of their trailer screaming for help while Combs was still inside the home.
And her mom was still trapped inside. She would not leave the animals, and we didn't know if she was okay or not in there for those 4 hours.
As heavy rain continued to add to floodwaters, that's when Johnson's own mother, Diane Johnson, arrived to help look for everyone.
And I hit my knees, and I pray, and I pray, and I said, Lord, I praise you in this storm. I know you've held my son, and you've not held him for me to come and watch him go.
Moments later, the rain eased up and rescue groups arrived.
I'm just thankful that they made it to us in the amount of time that they did, because the water was rising around us as we were walking out of it.
The rescue groups were able to save Johnson, Ritchie, Combs, and a few of their pets, but everything else they had was gone.
We're really sad because we lost everything that we built for the past 7 years. But that's just stuff. We can always get that stuff back. I'm just glad that I have Henry and my mom. That's all that matters.
Finding light in even the darkest of days. In Chavis, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Other than sustaining a few injuries while braving the floodwater, Johnson, Ritchie, and Combs are okay and are working to rebuild their lives following this devastation. Today, President Biden announced more federal funding available to help in the aftermath of the floods. It's going to now cover 100% of the total eligible costs for a 30-day period. It's for things like debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance. The president's initial disaster declaration offered federal funding for public assistance and hazard mitigation at 75% of total costs. Disaster centers are now open in Clay and Knott County. FEMA representatives will be at the centers to help with applications for federal assistance and provide information about other resources. They're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sunday. The Salvation Army has served several of the communities impacted by flooding this week, distributing 10,000 meals in the process. The Salvation Army held their last distribution in the Lothair community of Perry County today, handing out hygiene kits, cleaning supplies, food, water, and even Walmart gift cards.
It's always a blessing to be able to come and serve our fellow neighbors and be the hands and feet of Jesus to them, as we know that he would want us to serve and have compassion for those that have been impacted in such a devastating way.
Those with the Salvation Army say a service unit will be staying in the community to focus on long-term recovery for the families that have been impacted by flooding. Tide Loads of Hope, powered by Matthew 25 Ministries, is now open in Whitesburg. The laundry service is located at the Whitesburg Walmart, where people can get their clothes washed for free. Laura Morand, who is a disaster response team member with Matthew 25 Ministries, said they're glad to help after the tragic flooding.
There is very widespread devastation. It's hard to see people who've been so impacted by it. We're just glad we can come here and provide a little bit of help and hope for them.
Tide Loads of Hope will take 2 loads of laundry per household at one time and cannot wash comforters or blankets. Healing through faith. Churches in eastern Kentucky are gathering in unusual spots to worship after the flood. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox visited a few gatherings in Letcher County to hear how they're recovering together.
Churches across eastern Kentucky had to find another way to gather after the flood.
The question is, what do good people do when bad things happen? And so I'm of that persuasion that the rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Cornerstone Church in Whitesburg met Sunday morning under a Cajun Navy tent outside of their building. The church reacted swiftly, something Holbrook says he knew to do when disaster struck.
So I want my people to know that not only are we so appreciative of what people are giving to us, but we have a part to give. And not only volunteering, but of everything that we have, we possess, we're about our time.
Summit Church in Whitesburg normally meets at the Letcher County Shriners Club. They gave up their space for people that need shelter and now are meeting at the Cowan Community Center.
We're just, I think just being there for each other is the biggest thing, and just lean on community and faith and just the promises that Christ gives us, and that's the only thing that we can have. Just try to be there for each other.
Now that many outsiders have supported them, churches are wanting to give back to the community in any way they can.
You can't believe that you're going through this, but thank God you got people that have a heart to help.
Building their lives back together. In Whitesburg, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
The Cajun Navy is set up at the Cornerstone Church building with supplies for anyone that needs them. Well, we want to remind you that we're partnering with WKYT in Lexington and WSAZ in Charleston, Huntington, West Virginia for Appalachia Rises, a week of giving. Our goal is to support the ARH Foundation Fund for Flood Relief and the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky Crisis Fund. Hazard native Joe Craft and his wife, former UN Ambassador Kelly Nightcraft, will match every dollar raised for the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky Crisis Fund up to $1.5 million. You can get involved in the fundraising effort by scanning the QR code you see there on your screen. Officials with the Knox County Sheriff's Department are investigating 2 robberies at separate locations early Friday morning. Officials said the suspects used a dark-colored van believed to be stolen from a Bell County church to rip the doors off of Cope's Grocery and Deli and Creek Mart. The suspects were caught on camera going into the stores and taking money from the ATMs. If you have any information about this investigation, you can call the Knox County Sheriff's Department at 606-546-3181. A Wayne County man faces several charges after he was arrested today. Deputies arrested Joshua T. LaFew after receiving complaints of a motorcycle theft on American Legion Road. Officials say security camera footage showed a man fitting his description on a motorcycle. He faces charges including burglary and theft. LaFew was taken to the Wayne County Detention Center. 9 people are hurt after a shooting in Cincinnati last night. It happened in the early morning hours just before 2 a.m. As of this morning, all 9 victims have been released from the hospital. Officers say they're searching for at least 2 suspects who had firearms and exchanged gunfire near the intersection of Main and Woodward Streets. Officials say 20 to 30 shots were fired, and one officer fired a single shot at the suspect.
Unfortunately, we had what can only be categorized as a mass shooting here on Main Street early this morning. So this came out about 01:38 hours. Multiple shots were fired. We had officers on scene. We had a large police presence just because we've had large crowds here on Main Street for the past month or so.
Police are asking for anyone who witnessed the shooting or if they have any video of the shooting or the aftermath to contact them. Deputies in Floyd County are asking for help identifying a robbery suspect. The sheriff's office says it happened shortly after 2 a.m. at the BP Mart on Route 80 in Martin. Deputies say the person walked in the business wearing a mask and carrying a gun and demanded money. He then left the business on foot. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Floyd County Sheriff's Office. Tomorrow, the man accused of killing 3 law enforcement officers in Floyd County is expected to appear in court. Lance Storrs is scheduled to be arraigned at 1 p.m. Investigators say he ambushed officers in Allen, killing 3 and injuring 5 others. The officers were trying to serve a domestic violence order against him. He faces a long list of charges, including murder. Coming up at 6, a helicopter ride and a ticket to the opera. How an 88-year-old woman got her wish granted.
And rain chances continue into the new work week. I have all those details coming up.